Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's tech expert. But first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive for their support. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com to see exactly what their fantastic products can do for you. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. If you're looking for a great way to display your school records for all sports, for all events, as well as create a unique Hall of Fame experience, then Vital Signs Wall of Fame is for you. Go to their website at vitalsignswalloffame.com or email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com to get started. Their interactive touchscreen consoles and library of templates make it easy to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, go to Wall of Fame, vitalsignswalloffame.com for more information. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and see how athletic directors and coaches are creating world-class marketing content for their school social media sites. You can do it in seconds on any device, and you don't need any design experience. It's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com, tell them you heard about it on the podcast, and use the podcast discount ADPOD10. That's ADPOD10 and get 10% off. Once again, go to Gipper.com and start creating world-class marketing content. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms, the industry leader in registration. But Final Forms is more than that. Final Forms can help your stakeholders and your parents with things like mobile accessibility. They've got reminders about policies and physicals and all the forms that come with having an athlete in the house. Final Forms can also help your coaches with things like communication and attendance, and even help them with their own certification management. And for athletic directors, Final Forms can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. You know, it's time that you took the next steps and talked to a team that's walked in your shoes. Go to finalforms.com/Jake to get started. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with the Final Forms team. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. They sponsor the Athletic Director's Toolbox segment of our podcast. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, okay? And then you can reach them at info@athleticsurveys.com and get started. Surveys are great. We used them for parents, for teachers, for coaches, you name it. And the information that we got back was almost always overwhelmingly positive. And it'll be the same for you. But it also allows that squeaky wheel parent to vent. And sometimes they'll share a small issue that we can take care of before it turns into a big issue because we didn't know about it because we hadn't done a survey. Once again, go to athleticsurveys.com or send them an email to info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and see how over 200,000 teams are using Huddle to help their athletes perform better using video and analytics. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, and as an athletic director, we were a Huddle school, and our coaches just love the online tools, the smart cameras, the analytics, but there's so much more. Huddle's built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high school and college programs. You want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your program and how your school can become a Huddle school? Go to huddle.com and talk to their experts. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Hometown helps thousands of schools and organizations across the country provide convenient digital ticketing options for their communities, their families, and their fans. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to sell your tickets online. They'll show you how to scan the attendees that come to your games. They'll also show you how to collect your revenue. And every step of the way, you're going to have a dedicated client success manager providing hands on support. That's the Hometown difference. Hometown also sells tickets for all types of events, from plays to choir performances to dances, graduation. Go to hometownticketing.com and start selling your tickets digitally. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. And we want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Go to snapraise.com and see how their fundraising platform can help you. Our coaches use Snap Raise for years, and it was very successful. And as an athletic director, very easy to deal with. There's no upfront costs. There's no selling products. As an AD, I knew what was going on, but I wasn't involved. And the best thing about it, it worked. Okay, our coaches raised thousands of dollars, and Snap Raise will do the same thing for you. Choosing the best fundraiser is critical, and you can put the Snap Raise digital fundraising difference to work for your school. To date, they've raised over $500 million. That's billion with a B, for athletic departments just like yours. Grow your program with Snap Raise. Change your fundraising game plan and start a fundraiser that works for you. Go to snapraise.com and get started today. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is Jordan Edgett. Jordan is an enterprise account executive with Snap Raise. You'll probably recognize that. Snap Raise is one of our partners, but it's a very cool platform. You've heard me say our coaches use Snap Raise for years, very successful, and we're just excited to hear a little bit more about it. So, Jordan, welcome to Tech Tuesday.
I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for your time, Jake.
Well, again, this is your first time on Tech Tuesday. Our audience is mostly athletic directors. So tell us a little bit about, your aspect of Snap Raise, and more importantly, why should an athletic director, know about it and get involved?
Yeah, well, I'm actually a former athletic director myself. So pretty strategically that Snap had me on board here to talk about athletic administration software for ADs. So I spent 6 years as an AD in Massachusetts, and my last year as an AD, I was introduced to Snap. That happened to be the year during that COVID year, the first full school year after COVID. I actually had the Snap Raise rep reach out to me. That individual actually had coached at the previous school that I worked at. So I trusted him. We set up a meeting, and I was immediately intrigued. Remember that year we didn't have any spectators. We didn't have any sources of revenue really all that year. So I was intrigued. I immediately went to my principal, who approved of the fundraiser online platform. The only caveat for me was administrators couldn't be involved. So as an AD, I couldn't be involved in these fundraisers. And probably for every AD that's listening right now is I don't think anybody would complain being told that they couldn't have any involvement in fundraisers. I was very hands-off, couldn't be involved. So what I did was, I talked to my booster club. The boosters were very happy to work with the coaches and to work with Cam, our Snap Raised rep, to fundraise. The boosters, they didn't have any concessions that year. They weren't able to, support the students in the same ways that they had in the past. And typically, they run senior events. They do scholarships for the seniors. And that year they were kind of in a position where it's like, what do we do? We can't run these events. We can't have concessions. So in a lot of ways, it killed two birds with one stone, where I didn't have any involvement. And it also kept the boosters happy. Obviously for ADs, it's something that that relationship's important. And the fact that our boosters were ecstatic, they were able to raise a ton of money through SnapRaise. So yeah, I had zero involvement. The coaches, it was 30 minutes of onboarding and getting the kids up to speed with what to do with the program. And other than that, like Raise, they took the rest of the heavy lifting off our shoulders. So um, before the 21-22 school year, I ended up stepping down from my AD position. Shortly after that, I latched on with SnapRaise. I really had no idea what I was getting myself into. I believed in the product. I saw firsthand as an AD what it did for schools, especially during the COVID year. But I also quickly learned that SnapRaise wasn't just about fundraising. We have multiple products. I learned that as a company, we're focused on and prioritizing the needs of an AD. It was really cool to see how Snap was taking the feedback from administrators like myself across the country to kind of to grow and improve the platform to be a more streamlined and automated process for ADs, not just for fundraising, but for other athletic administrative software tools. So since latching on with Snap, my role is essentially to, work with ADs, work with the administrators, identify ways in which that we can be a better partner. We do have numerous products, but there's also additional ways for us to be a better partner. So we love to sponsor coaches meetings, sponsor events that are happening on campus, any tournaments. We love to be an on-campus presence where our reps will come, bring food, chat with coaches. We see ourselves more as an active member in the communities rather than being just your online platform or just a name or an email. We really want to be a part of a school's team. So we also talk about, exclusive partnerships where if you're working with Snap solely as your online fundraising platform, we want to give more back to you. So the schools that aren't working with any other online platforms, we can talk about stretch goals and just ways that we can give an additional percentage back to schools.
Yeah, I was really amazed, surprised at the depth that SnapRaise goes to help out schools and specifically athletic directors. I know we're going to have some other folks from SnapRaise on in the coming weeks to talk about things, but for that athletic director that's never heard of SnapRaise, if that's possible, from the fundraising standpoint, just very briefly, we don't want to step on anybody else's toes, but just how does it work? And then how do they find out more information?
Yeah, sure. It's entirely online. It's a 28-day campaign. We utilize the power of email, texting, social media. Again, we're not selling any products. It's all online. Donations are generated through the emails and through any social shares, any texting. And we have, like you mentioned, additional features and products that are incorporated as value adds into these campaigns. And if you go to snapraise.com, we have information about all these products: Raise, Manage, Snap Spend, Snap Insights, you name it, Snap Store. We have a lot of different products that entail the whole athletic administration experience.
Yeah, as you mentioned also earlier, fundraising, even with COVID, scaling down, I guess we don't want to say it's completely gone, but fundraising is still so critical to schools. And and you and I can both speak from experience as ADs, our coaches used it and it was very successful. And, I always say I knew about it, but I wasn't involved. And so, and it worked. I mean, it did what it was supposed to. It raised the money and the parents were happy. The boosters were happy. What was something from your perspective as an AD that, maybe was another pleasant surprise about the whole SnapRaise experience while you were an athletic director?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it right. Everything comes down to, the time and what you prioritize, what I mean, athletic directors have a ton on their plate, right? So when the Snap Raise rep came to me, it's like, I don't have anything else to put. Like, I can't put fundraising on my plate. But what surprised me was how easy it was to use the platform, where I had zero involvement. The coaches, like I said, it was just 30 minutes of setting up, and the rest is taking, like, the Snap Raise, they do the rest.
Mhm.
Whereas, if you're selling cookie dough or, planning out an event, there's a lot of back end work that goes into planning. And like the return on your investment too is a lot less. So when it comes down to the amount of time that you spend on, like, it's nothing. So for the amount that you get coming back into your pocket versus the amount of time that you spend, that surprised me. It was so easy to use, and there's really nothing that I did, and the coaches did very minimal too.
Yeah, again, that return on investment, that ROI, so critical for anybody, particularly athletic directors, where time is always oh so valuable. Jordan, one more time. I know you gave out the website, but if one of our listeners want to maybe reach out, pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way that they can find out more about SnapRaise and maybe get in touch with you?
Yeah, all of the products are on snapraise.com. You can check out all the products and features there. If you want to find me, ask any questions, my email is jordan.edgett@snapraise.com. So first name, period, last name @snapraise.com.
Okay. Jordan Edgett from SnapRaise, thanks so much for sharing today on Tech Tuesday and all the best moving forward with the school year.
Yeah, I would actually love to show you a little bit more about the product that and the feature that we're gonna kind of go over in terms of like the administrative dashboard that we have here. So part of the feedback as an AD myself and a lot of the conversations that we have with ADs is, because I didn't have, I wasn't hands-on. Is, hey, like, I know I'm not involved in these campaigns, but we need to have the oversight and the visibility to these campaigns. We need to know what's going on. We need to know, how much teams are bringing in. So we created the Insights dashboard. It's a super easy to use tool. You can have access at district level. So any district admins can see what all the schools are doing. At the school level, any administrator, AD, bookkeeper, admin assistant can have access to the dashboard. You can access any individual campaigns, past, present, or any that are current. You have access to the settlements. So from a paper trail standpoint, we've had bookkeepers use the settlements page for auditing, where you can find out, the softball team back in 2019 raised X amount and the checks were cut and deposited on this date. You can get notifications, alerts when a campaign has been created, when checks are cut or deposited. You have access to any reporting tools, so the donation reporting. So I know a lot of ADs love to use the reporting tool when it comes to donor stewardship, seeing who has donated year after year, how much they've donated. Sponsorships, what are schools doing for sponsorships with signs and banners? Schools can see, any local businesses that donate to the campaign. They have a tab where they can send a message to these donors. Hey, your donation went towards X, Y, and Z. A good way to kind of close that loop and build those relationships with any of those local businesses or families. Good way to close that loop. How many times have you donated to a campaign where it's like, where did my money actually go towards? So we like to have that transparency and that communication with the families. And we have other features that are built into the platform, legacy feature, where you have families that kids have already graduated, but they still want to be involved in the campaign. So it just makes things easier for ADs to budget out, forecast in the future. Year after year, you can use our data and analytics to say, hey, we expect the soccer team to raise 10 grand using SnapRaise. Now we can go ahead and see, all right, what are we going to do with the budget this upcoming school year? Knowing that we have SnapRaise, what are we going to do with that? How can we plan ahead? When it comes to Title IX, what are the ways that we can use this dashboard to ensure equity and ensure Title IX compliance? Seeing who has raised what are the resources that have come in through SNAP, and plan ahead through that. And again, I mentioned that the bookkeepers like to use the dashboard too when it comes to filing, reporting, and auditing as well. So again, administrators are hands off. So we've created this super easy to use, self-explanatory tool that it gives them that visibility and oversight to these campaigns. It makes that process a lot simpler and easily trackable.
Yeah, as you were going through that, I was just thinking all the ways that information could get used by an AD, whether they're giving a presentation to a school board, superintendent, booster club, even an individual parent, to be able to track and say, this is how much we raised, this is how much this sport raised, this is where your dollars went, and to do it year after year, have it archived, what a great, great resource.
It's been easy for in terms of like any transition to where or from a turnover standpoint, where if an AD leaves, if a bookkeeper leaves, you can come right in and have access to it and know exactly what the school has done from fundraising in the past too. So it definitely makes it easier from that standpoint as well.
Oh, very cool. And again, thanks so much for sharing. Let's give out that contact information one more time. If AD wants to find out more about SnapRaise or pick your brain a little bit, how do they get in touch?
I appreciate that. If they go to snapraise.com, they can find out any of the information about our products. If you have any questions for myself, my email is jordan.edgett@snapraise.com. So again, that's the first name, period, last name @snapraise.com.
And once again, Jordan Edgett, account representative from SnapRaise. Thanks so much for sharing today on Tech Tuesday.
Appreciate your time, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews get uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back next week for more Tech Tuesday and just about every day from new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for listening to Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We do want to thank our sponsors one more time. Final Forms, whether it's parents, coaches, or athletic directors, Final Forms can help you. Go to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. If you're looking for a unique way to display your school records or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and get started using their touchscreen consoles and templates. We also want to thank Huddle. Their analytics and their smart cameras are tremendous, but if you go to huddle.com, you can turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. Also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you haven't used surveys to connect with your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com or email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. Also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com and find out what they can do for you and your school with digital ticketing sales. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive. Their indoor scoring tables and video boards not only generate money for your program, but also create the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and see how athletic directors are creating world-class content for their school's social media channels. That's Gipper.com. Start creating world-class content for your school's social media channels. And of course, we want to thank SnapRaise. Go to snapraise.com and see how their platform can help you raise money for your athletic department and your teams. That's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to our new partners, the global community of women in high school sports, and We Coach. Go to global community in sports.com or wecoachsports.com for more .org, wecoachsports.org for more information. Global community of women in sports.org or wecoachsports.org for our new partnerships. Thanks again for listening to the Educational AD podcast. We'll see you next time.